Welcome, Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I'm your president, Wilda Ream. As you know, we start off our meetings by reciting the four-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, God Bless America, and the pledge will be led by past President Brian Tate, followed by the invocation by past President Glenn Miller, and introductions by Lauren Crow.
Good afternoon. Rotarians and guests, please join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Before inviting us into prayer, I wanted to give you a brief update on our friend, Patty Rooney. As all of you know, Patty had a stroke about 2 weeks ago. I was fortunate to be able to speak with him actually about 5-6 days ago. Sally was on the call, which made that a little easier, but we had a great conversation, and most importantly, he is making daily improvement. I did tell him that perhaps with speech therapy, he might end up losing that funny accent of his. That got precisely the reaction you might think that it got. Please prepare yourselves for prayer in the manner in which you are accustomed. From Psalm 12, hear these words. Because of the devastation of the afflicted, because of the groaning of the needy, now I will arise, says the Lord. I will set the people in the safety for which they long. In every community, among every people of the earth, the longing for safety and security is rightly paramount, and yet it is all too often elusive, leaving too many devastated by violence, the absence of safety. Today, we give thanks for all of those efforts in our community to set the people in the safety for which they long. We give special thanks for our police and other first responders, and today for the efforts of our fellow Rotarian and speaker in her good work with the York County Safety Collab. Bless her time among us and bless and strengthen her work among us. We thank you, as always, for the gift of this Rotary community, for all that it means to us and all that it means to those that we are privileged to serve. And we thank you for those who have prepared and served our meal. To you, the one God, of many names we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon. Fortunately, I don't have to invoke the Caltagirone doctrine today. The list is benign. Thank you. Visitors and guests, when I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Wilda has welcomed you. Jessica Brubaker, a guest of Chad Myers. Valerie Medina Gomez, guest of Youth Leadership. Otto Manvoy, also a guest of Youth Leadership. The following are guests of our speaker, Aaron Anderson, Bill Carney, Todd King, Kevin Smith, John Snyder, and guest of our past president, Josh George, is Seamus George. And a guest of Teresa Gregory is Thomas Gregory. Wilda?
Guests, we're so glad to have you here with us today. Whether this is your first visit or you're back again, it's always a pleasure to have new faces in the room. If what you see here today resonates with you, we'd love to have you consider becoming part of our Rotary family. Rotarians, please help me welcome our guests. You may be seated. As we recognize Black History Month, we honor individuals whose leadership, service, and commitment to community reflect values that continue to guide us today. The Rotary Club of York celebrates individuals whose lives embody service, integrity, and community impact, values clearly reflected in the lives of William Goodridge and Etha Cowles Armstrong, who saw needs in their community and took action to serve. Goodridge was a businessman who understood that prosperity carries responsibility. Through his work as an entrepreneur and Underground Railroad conductor, he used his skills, resources, and personal risk to protect human dignity and expand opportunity for others, demonstrating the Rotary ideal of service above self long before the phrase existed. Armstrong embodied Rotary's commitment to civic engagement and ethical leadership. Through her advocacy for voting rights, labor opportunity, and community organizations, she worked patiently within institutions to create lasting change. Her leadership strengthened not only individuals, but the broader community, reflecting Rotary's belief that progress is achieved through cooperation, integrity, and public service. Together, their lives remind us that Rotary's mission is not confined to meeting rooms or service projects. It lives wherever people step forward to lead, to serve, and to leave their community stronger than they found it. George Wood, a World War I veteran, embodies courage and selfless service. Enlisting in 1917 and serving in the 368th Infantry Regiment, he made the ultimate sacrifice in France. His dedication to a cause greater than himself mirrors Rotary's commitment to service above self, inspiring us to act with courage and compassion in our own commitments. Similarly, Gladys Rollins represents Rotary's focus on education, leadership, and promoting understanding across boundaries. As an educator who created the Green Circle program to teach empathy and racial tolerance, and who was nationally recognized for her efforts, Gladys exemplifies Rotary's dedication to fostering ethical leadership and nurturing the next generation. Her work demonstrates how one person's commitment to community can create lasting positive change, one of the core ideals of Rotary. Together, George and Gladys highlight how courage, service, and leadership, hallmarks of Rotary, transcend generations, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire the York community today. And now for our announcements this week. The Rotary Board of Directors will meet tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock on Zoom. The Youth Literacy Committee will meet on February 13th at 9 o'clock on Zoom, and the Membership Engagement Committee will meet on February 16th at 8 o'clock on Teams. The Membership Engagement Committee invites you to our club's first Rotary Biz Tour and Networking event for 2026. Join us at Shipley Energy in York on Thursday, March 5th from 5 to 7 for refreshments, networking with your fellow club members, and a guided tour of Shipley Energy. This is a fun opportunity to learn more about this local business and a chance to get to know fellow club members. There's no cost to attend, but you must register in advance. Sorry, guests cannot be accommodated. So please register using the link in tomorrow's announcer or the QR code on the slips on your table or on the screen. It is time this week for our quarterly strategic plan update. So since rolling out our club's 3-year strategic plan, we have stayed intentional about bringing that plan to life, not letting it sit on a shelf, but using it as a daily guide for action and accountability. Our board reviews the plan monthly, ensuring committees have the support and the direction needed to make measurable progress. Today's update highlights the strides we've made and how our efforts continue to advance the club's long-term vision. So just to refresh your memory, our strategic priorities are to create an engaged and diverse membership, increase service impact, with a focus on youth success in the city, increase awareness and understanding of our organization, and align our governance and resources to support club priorities. So under engaged and diverse membership, our member engagement is up, our recruitment is strong, and members are shaping what we do next. So in December, we had a bourbon tasting, which was a huge hit with over 40 individuals in attendance, and that was a sold-out event. We had 38 new members join since February of last year, and our membership and recruitment committee is bringing in fresh perspectives and energy, as well as new ideas for member recruitment, like the upcoming All Aboard event coming up on February 25th. The Membership Engagement Committee conducted a member survey in the fall, and your ideas, like touring local businesses, have been shared with the appropriate committees for them to act upon those recommendations and suggestions. So a great example of being people in action, the Membership Committee is holding our first biz tours we just talked about, continuing to keep member engagement high and strengthening our member connections. Together, these efforts have deepened our sense of community and positioned our club for sustained growth. Under service impact, our members continue to embody service above self. With youth-focused impact, the Service Project Development Committee launched an application process for projects designed to make meaningful impact on the youth in York City. Over the next few months, we'll be sharing the exciting proposals that have been submitted. The Youth Leadership Committee modernized a Rotary tradition by reimagining the four-way test essay contest. Students who live in the city of York can now submit a video or social media post sharing how young people can help create a fairer, kinder, and more truthful future with cash prizes as an incentive. The Youth Exchange Committee has been working with Sanaya, a student from William Penn, as she prepares for her exchange during the 26-27 school year. She recently learned that she'll be heading to her first choice country of Peru. This is a meaningful step towards our goal of supporting youth success in the city. And under community revitalization, the Preserve Planet Earth Committee played a key role in planting of new trees along Market Street from Pershing to Duke. Combined with the planters in the square, these efforts highlight Rotary's visible impact on the beautification of our city. Together, these projects are creating visible, lasting change here at home and beyond. In increasing awareness and understanding, our club's member-only Facebook group continues to grow. We're currently at 129 members, so if you haven't joined yet, this is your opportunity to do so. It's a private page, great for sharing updates, service stories, and member achievements, helping us stay connected between our Wednesday meetings. Again, if you haven't joined yet, please search for the Rotary Club of York members only and get connected. And we just launched an Instagram page, so if you're on Insta, be sure to give us a follow. These platforms help us tell our stories, recognize our members, and make Rotary more visible to the community that we serve. In aligning governance and resources, we held a mid-year check-in meeting with our committee leadership in January. This meeting was a pause to see if committee work is aligned with the strategic plan, where momentum is strong and where we need to adjust to finish out the year. As a result, some committees have submitted an updated committee action plan, which aligns their committee goals with our strategic priorities and metrics for success. This process keeps us focused, accountable, and aligned. So what's next? In April, the York Rotary Foundation Fund Development Committee will introduce a new recognition program to celebrate our foundation donors. Another Rotary Means Business event is in the works, continuing to strengthen professional connections and member engagement, and hopefully will be another trailblazer for the district. Proposals for the Impact Project are due in March, so we're excited to see how Rotary can serve as a catalyst for meaningful change for youth in New York City. And later this year, we'll begin the process of updating our strategic plan. As we build on the past 3 years, we remain focused on moving our club forward and continuing to serve as a trailblazer for our district. In closing, I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished together. Our committees and members have helped turn our strategic plan into meaningful action. We're not just setting goals, we are delivering on them. At the same time, we know that meaningful change doesn't happen overnight. Some goals move faster than others, and progress often requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to keep showing up even when the work is challenging. This is all part of doing this work well. This is what it looks like to be people of action: steady progress, honest reflection, and a continued commitment to do better. You can view the full strategic plan at any time on our website under our mission. And now I invite Matthew Poff to the podium on behalf of our Youth Leadership Committee for our Students of the Month.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. It is my privilege to present Students of the Month. And this month, we will be honoring students from Logos Academy. Logos is a private Christian K through 12 school, in downtown York. And so it is my privilege to honor 2 students today. Now, before you call the state board to have my CPA license revoked because there's only 1 student, regretfully, one of our students is ill this week and was not able to join us, but we still want to honor and recognize both students. So I will give you information on Naquan, who could not be here, and then we'll get a chance to meet Valerie. So Naquan Washington is a junior at Logos Academy. He is involved in the Junior Optimist program, the chapel team, and on the basketball team. His hobbies include cooking and community service, and he's been awarded the honor roll and is a founder of the Junior Optimist program. His career aspirations are to go to college for culinary arts and business management, and then eventually own his own food business. So even though he's not here today, someday, hopefully we will see him in a food truck or in a brick and mortar store downtown York. With us today is Valerie Medina Gomez. Valerie, also a junior at Logos Academy. She is involved in volleyball, poetry out loud, the Junior Optimist International Club, and as a tie-in to today's presentation, she's a part of the Safer Together Pickleball and Volleyball League and Bible study. She enjoys volleyball and diamond painting, which I didn't know what that was. You'll have to ask Valerie what that is. And she is a libero on the volleyball team and has been awarded the Most Improved Volleyball Player Award as well as the Pickleball Award. And she is on the honor roll and also a founder of the Junior Optimist International Club. And her career plans are to be a mortician or a social worker, obviously both that involve compassion. So please help me in welcoming Valerie to the stage.
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. When I was in 9th grade, I was not open to any sport. It just wasn't my thing. When my school handed out the papers saying that they were going to be starting a volleyball club and the practices would be starting soon, I disregarded it. But my mom found out and she forced me to join the volleyball club. At first, I was very uninterested and I had no desire to play. I did not think it would be something I would enjoy, and I definitely did not expect it to change me. But the more I played, the better I got. As I improved, I gained motivation to keep pushing myself. I was not only learning physically, but mentally. What I was learning, was what it meant to be a part of a team and how to work with others. Volleyball taught me to keep going even when things got hard and how to encourage those around me when they felt discouraged. Physically, the sport made me stronger and more active. I built stamina and endurance. I worked very hard and eventually received a medal for being the most improved volleyball player. And I am very proud of this award because it represents growth. It reminds me of the effort, even when it's uncomfortable. At first, leads to progress. Volleyball changed more than just my athletic ability. I have always been a strong student academically, but sometimes struggled with discipline and consistency. I would do well on assignments, yet I would not always give my 100%. Volleyball taught me that improvement only comes with daily commitment. You cannot practice once and expect to win a game. You cannot study once and expect long-term success. Due to volleyball, I became more consistent in the classroom. I learned to manage my time better, stay focused, and push through challenges instead of avoiding them. Being part of a team also helped shape my character. I learned that success is not just about me. It's about lifting others up. That mindset has carried into my academics, where I am always willing to help other students when they need support. Whether it's explaining a math problem or helping someone study, I have learned when one of us improves, we all improve. Through sports and my involvement in the Junior Optimist Club, I have matured in ways I never expected. Serving others and working with my peers helped me see the needs around me. It taught me not to be selfish, but to be aware, compassionate, and willing to step in when someone else needs help. Volleyball started as something I didn't even want to try. Today, it is one of the greatest blessings in my life. Thank you for supporting and helping students like me grow, not just as athletes, but as disciplined students, teammates, and young leaders.
Well, thank you, Valerie. What an honor it is to be named as Student of the Month by your school. We know how much hard work goes into this recognition, and showing this level of leadership at a young age is truly remarkable. We are excited to see what you accomplished throughout your life, and also your classmate who couldn't be here with us today. At this time, I would invite past President John Kleindens to the podium to introduce our speakers for today.
Thank you, President Wilda. I have the honor of introducing several speakers today. We'll have 3 short presentations, followed by our main program by our own Jamie. As I give a brief introduction of the speakers, I would ask you to keep in mind a piece of scripture that I think fits all of our speakers today. It's from Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Keep that in mind. Our speakers will be Aaron Anderson. Aaron is the CEO of Logos Academy, and Logos works here in the city and also serves as the lead pastor of Living Word Community Church. In addition, he's an author and a community builder. Next will be Pastor Bill Kearney. Bill is senior pastor at Covenant Family Ministries and a Safety Collab steering committee member. Bill has said in the past, we were led by God to build relationships with one another. The third will be Chief Todd King. Todd is the Safety Collab steering committee member and a prominent figure in the law enforcement community, serving as the police chief for Springettsbury Township. Chief King's leadership and dedication to public safety are evident in his role as the police chief and his support for the community during challenging times. He is a member of the East York Rotary Club. And our principal speaker, Dr. Jamie Noerpel, director of York County Safety Collab. After earning a BA from York College of Pennsylvania, Jamie taught high school history for 10 years at the Milton Hershey School. She earned her MA and PhD in American Studies from Penn State University, concentrating on history, environmental studies, and folklore. She co-founded a website called Witnessing York, writes a local history blog for YDR titled Wandering in York County, and co-produces a local history podcast called Hometown History. And you'll notice as Jamie comes up, when she comes up, why we have the EMTs on call today. Fellow Rotarians, please give a warm Rotary welcome to our speakers and our peacemakers today.
Well, good afternoon. Let me first say, as CEO of Logos Academy, Valerie, great job. So proud of you. She's quite the trash talker in pickleball. I can tell you that too, because I've played that. It brings me such great joy to be able to talk about the York County Safety Collab. And Jamie put 2 pastors in front of her, so I've got to stay on time here. So Logos Works is the social enterprise division of Logos Academy. Otto Monroy helps us lead that, and Jamie is the director of the York County Safety Collab. Let me just talk to you about what our agenda kind of is today. Why, first of all, why do we need a safety collab? That'll be the first thing. Pastor Kearney will set us up and talk about how we got started. There's a really cool story with that. And then Jamie's going to fill us in on there's just so much good that's being done through the safety collab, and she's doing a great job on that. Did you know that right now we have 16 different police departments in New York County? 16. When we started the Safety Collab, there were 18. Now, there's been a little bit of consolidation, but one of the things that we saw as we began to meet together as chiefs and clergy is that you could be policed so different depending on where you were in the county. And so one of the things we said is that that really is at the heart of the Safety Collab is that we are safer together as people when we're together. That these boundaries we have, they're arbitrary, but as human beings, we're safer when we work together. And so what we looked at, we said, let's figure out how we can coordinate and share resources and pursue some funding for resources together and stop like bickering and fighting with each other and do that together. And so the Safety Collab was born. Now, let me just real quickly hit you with the cost of crime. Now, first of all, as a minister, I'd be completely remiss to say that in any homicide of any kind, the loss of human life that's made in the image of God is the number one and the most terrible loss that our communities should grieve. But the RAND organization did a study, and there's actually they put a dollar total on this. But let me just talk to you before I give you that dollar total about what is kind of lost as you think about cost. Not only is there a loss of life, but the loss of quality of life, the loss of productivity. There's costs in our court systems, the criminal justice system, medical costs, property loss, all that has led to, ultimately we end up struggling with our police departments being understaffed. Right now, we're really struggling with mental health of first responders, as many of you are watching, and one of the things we care about in the Safety Collab, and ultimately a community where people may or may not feel safe, and people won't visit and they won't spend dollars where there's not safety. Now, let me show you that number. RAND says that the cost of one homicide to a community is $12.7 million. Shocking when I saw that. So in 2022, we had 30 homicides in this county. That, according to those numbers, that would have cost us $383 million. Now, thank God that our numbers have come down. In 2025, we're down to 17, which means over the last 3 years, there's a savings, if you will, of $527 million. Now, Jamie's going to talk a lot more about our youth. She did a tremendous study. We looked at, I think, 361 youth that were served. The connection between youth and police and their feelings about them have a connection to all that. We'll talk more about that. But right now, we can say, based on this initial survey, is that you've got a large proportion of our students that they would say in York County somewhat trust police. And so that's one of the things we're really focused on in the Safety Collab. Let me invite my friend and pastor, Bill Kearney, to come up and talk to you about how the Safety Collab got started.
Thank you, Aaron. It's tough to give a pastor a microphone and only have to speak for a few minutes. We'll do our best. Imagine York City, 45 minutes away from destruction, rioting, property and life loss in Baltimore City over protests of Freddie Gray in Baltimore City. 45 minutes away. It was hard to imagine, and it was flowing up 83 North. As pastors, as a praying man, we sought God. Lord, what should we do? What can we do to avoid the destruction, the protests, the rioting that take place here in York City? And surely people was ready to riot, to move. Well, we heard from the Lord. And as we were led, listen, we were led to make a phone call. I called the next best person that I know, Reverend Aaron Anderson. We came together with a plan to sit and meet with our police chiefs to talk about, to develop communication and to develop a forum to just sit and talk and to see what we could do in order to avoid the destruction that was taking place. Again, imagine me as a Black man in a room full of police. Surely there was tension. We didn't know what to expect as clergy. Police chiefs didn't know what to expect. They felt that they were going to get pounded on. You know the narrative that was going on back then about police. They wanted to defund the police, defund the police, defund them. The police wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. So they imagined that we were coming together to pound on them. There was two areas that we focused on when we got together. The first area was to talk about a safe and effective community policing. That's what we wanted to get across, that we wanted a safe and effective policing of our communities. The second thing that we focused on was that we wanted to let our police departments know that they had our support. We supported the police and we wanted to communicate that to them so that they could understand that we were more for them than against them. So, but there was tension. We had to break down that wall of tension and move forward to accomplish the goals that we wanted to accomplish that night. That goal, those goals, was accomplished. And 10 years later, we are still coming to the table. Oh, an applaud should go right there. 10 years later, we're still meeting, we're still coming to the table, we're still communicating, we're still talking about the hard issues that we face as a community. But yet, we developed a relationship built on trust. And Chief Todd is going to talk more about that relationship and how we move forward to develop a safety collab that is working here in York County, the only one in the nation that has come together to develop and work together for one York. Thank you.
I got to start off by saying, I don't know who made this schedule, but me following two pastors is not an easy thing either. So, Chief Todd King with the Spring and Spray Township Police Department. As you can see on the screen, my former chief, Chief Daniel Stump, was a founding member of the Chiefs and Clergy Pastors and Chiefs Association. He came to us and said, hey, they want to have this meeting. And we told him, like Pastor Kearney said, we got to watch out for an ambush. We have a bad narrative going on right now. And I'm not talking about a physical ambush. I'm not talking about physical injury. I'm talking about, are we going to be, put before a narrative that is happening 45 minutes away that we can't control. So what we came up with, if you want to go ahead, during these meetings, there were some very interesting conversations. One of these conversations, Pastor Ramona Kiner stood up and informed Spring and Spray Township, my township, that she was afraid for her own son, who drove back and forth to work in Spring and Spray Township and was pulled over by our officers on a pretty continual basis. So we took that to heart. Chief Stump, at that time, he could have been divisive. He could have been defensive, could have said, hey, this is what's going on. He didn't do that. What he did instead is he apologized. He said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry this is happening to your son. And what we learned is that everybody, go ahead again. Everybody we had a 3-hour meeting then. There was a 3-hour meeting. We all sat down and Pastor Kearney's right. You want to talk about tension? Wow, was there tension? But we found out that everybody comes into this conversation through their own lived experiences and look at everything through their own lens. So there was a lot of misconception. There was a lot of surprise, remorse. We talked about people's honesty. We talked about their lived history and the narratives that were passed down from generation to generation. And again, I'm not going to demand applause because only Pastor Kearney can do that. But today, we still continue to meet today. So another big point, I think, another turning point in that conversation was at the time, Chief Mark Bensel from the Northern York County Regional Police Department stood up and said something that police officers have a really, really hard time admitting. And that is, hey, We're not infallible. We don't always get this right. We're human beings. We try. And we try. We got a pretty good batting average, but we don't always get it right. So what can we do to come together to make things different? And the results of this, I want to point this out. After the death of George Floyd, the York County Safety Collab, the police chiefs and clergy, we came together and put out a joint statement. And that joint statement condemned the actions of the officers on that day. That joint statement, I truly believe, kept York safe while the whole entire country was rioting after that event. We didn't have riots in York. We had nice, safe protests. One of the things we do at the Safety Collab also, and this is all to Dr. Noerpel, she conducts, you already heard about one of her podcasts. She actually has multiple podcasts. This is the Safer Together podcast, where she gets police chiefs, clergy, community members together, and they discuss things that are going on, trying to build that transparency, trying to build that relationship into the community. So I'm now going to turn everything over to Dr. Noerpel.
So you kind of heard the backstory of how the Safety Collab was formed. And so this kind of showed us that we can accomplish way more if we work together. So our mission at the Safety Collab is that we believe that relationships are critical. The York County Safety Collab is a law enforcement and community partnership for improved public safety with a special focus on youth, which you'll see today. We are safer together. So we bring many different people from different sectors to one table. That includes law enforcement, but also county agencies, businesses, a lot of nonprofits, and community members as well. President Courtney should have told me that with a belly, you have to lean over the mic. I wasn't quite expecting that. So please excuse me. I might, there we go. All right. So what we focus on is the intersection of what the community needs and then what law enforcement needs. So this Venn diagram kind of shows you where our priorities lie. So what I'll get into now is, what do we actually do? What is our impact on the community? We focus on trainings, relationships, police equipment, supporting youth. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the other steering committee members that are here today. We have Chief Snyder with West Manchester, and we have Kevin Smith with Kindness Worldwide. Samantha Dorm and Chief Tim Damon could not make it today, but we have a pretty rock solid base with our steering committee that is 50% law enforcement and then 50% community. So as Valerie already shared, we do a lot with sports and kids that bring together the community and police. So we started off thanks to a grant with the state that's now followed up with the York County Community Foundation, a basketball league. Our goal is that for a lot of people, their interaction with police might be negatively associated because they were speeding and they got a ticket. Or for me at Milton Hershey School, since all of our students come from lower income situations and tough backgrounds, some of them, when we would talk about how they felt about police, was, you're the reason I don't have a mom, or you're the reason I don't have a dad. And so we want to dispel that and facilitate a platform where we can be in sweats and hang out and get to know each other by our first name. So we started out with basketball. Now we have volleyball. We started pickleball. And frankly, it's a lot of fun. Aaron, I think, did you take the championship? Not the pickle, but the basketball. Yeah. Right now we have volleyball going on. Thank you. But it's honestly just a lot of fun. So a lot of this is for law enforcement to also remind them that the community cares about them, because we don't call the police when we're having a good day. We call them when we're having a bad day. And so it is a morale booster for police, but also youth. We want to make sure that we're targeting the highest risk. So we ask them with their zip codes. This shows us that the majority of the youth that are in our sports programs are from the city. So 17401, 17403. We overlaid that with the highest rates of crime, and you can see that the yellow areas are the highest rates. So thankfully, we are reaching the kids that come from neighborhoods that have the highest exposure. And we're also more than, though, just a city initiative. While that's absolutely a focus point, you can see kids come from all across the entire county. We also offer a paid internship called our Teen Safety Collab. We have anywhere from 3 to 6 youth that go through this. We started at Logos Academy, but now we've expanded to York Academy and Christian School of York and William Penn. And these young people come and they get paid to learn about public safety initiatives. We view this as career exposure. but also civic engagement and frankly, getting them to appreciate first responders more. A lot of young people think that they know what it takes to be a police officer, but until you go through the police department and get a tour or sit down and talk with Tiff Lowe and the team at GVI, or in this case, they got a behind the scenes tour of the prison, which for a lot of them was their favorite tour. It just gives them a brand new appreciation. While Adam Ogle, before he retired, made them all go behind the locked door and then close the door so they can hear that click. And he said, this is somewhere you never want to be. And so they get that exposure, but then we focus a lot on social media. So they come back and they write these stories and they put them on our Instagram and Facebook page, which I encourage you to follow. We also believe firmly in convening people. So in addition to our 2 programs that we offer, we have quarterly community safety summits. They're about average of 70 people that come, and this could be a way for you to get involved if you're interested. We look for ways that we can increase safety across the entire county, specifically for youth. And again, focusing on 25 and younger, because when you look at data, a lot of the people that are in their early 20s are the ones that are committing what's called part-run crimes, the ones that we're most concerned about, aggravated assault, homicide, that sorts of things. So we lift up youth voices while we're here, and we've accomplished a few different things up to this point. One, because of these summits, we've been able to develop a continuum of care of York County. So we know all the known resources of youth service providers, and we've reached out to Connect York to actually implement it into a user-based platform that people can access. We've developed a gap analysis of what's missing. And then most importantly, now that we know the gaps, we're going after joint grants together through the state and federal government to bring more money into York County to dispel the public safety violence and exposure to violence that kids have. Our next one is April, by the way, and I will not be there. So I will be very busy at the moment. So I'm entrusting Otto and Aaron to do a fantastic job. I was remiss, and Otto is also part of our steering committee as well, and he helps guide a lot of what we do. So again, our goal, short and long-term violence reduction. And so these community safety summits are about building a plan, but then also directing resources towards alignment. One other thing I want to highlight is the threat assessment and mitigation team. So we're a member at this table, and what this team does, it's a multidisciplinary team that's housed under the county, is it looks at people who are capable of committing mass atrocities. And they are here and they're in York County, but thankfully we have not had any serious issues for the most part, barring this past year, absolutely. But the reason is because this team looks at ways that they can intervene and provide pro-social activities to divert young people off this path. We work with the FBI to identify young people, and thanks to the Powder Mill Foundation, we've been able to send kids to summer camp or buy new shoes or things that we feel will give them a boost so they don't find themselves on the dark spaces of the internet or finding themselves entwined in nihilistic violence extremist groups that might lead to mass casualties in York County. And by the way, it was mentioned, I do write for YDR as a freelance writer, and I wrote an article on that. It is really a fascinating thing that a lot of people don't realize we have in our county, so I encourage you to go and read that article. We also, for supporting youth, in addition to the programs that I mentioned, we partner a lot with youth service providers, because one thing that we're finding is that York County is a resource-rich community. We have a lot going on here. When we built that continuum of care, over 160 nonprofit service providers were identified. And so instead of us reinventing the wheel and trying to figure out how we can upstart new programs, why not just bring in more funding to support the people that are already doing good work and have more alignment? So I work with these nonprofits for capacity building. So Logos Academy was able to start their sports program and start their robotics program because of the grant that primarily Otto, his fingerprint is all over. But then also you can see a lot of the other nonprofits that we support as well. So now bridging into what we do with youth and then law enforcement is building relationships. The more touch points we can have between the community and law enforcement. Here is our therapy dog kissing booth. We had a police dunk tank, which the kids were not as excited as I thought they would. I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna dunk cops. I thought that would be really fun, but a lot of the kids were intimidated. So I don't know why, I had to get my fellow police officers to dunk their friends to then get the kids comfortable. And then, of course, we have a QRT, which is our quick response team, which is called our SWAT team here in York County. And they are very engaged. They come out, this is called the Bearcat as their armored vehicle during hostage events. And they come out and show kids what's involved. Kindness Week, this was the brainchild of Kevin Smith with Kindness Worldwide. He approached us a number of years ago and said, what if instead of citations, we give kindness citations and cops cite people for being kind? We've had 11 departments continually participate, and you can see we've got an SRO, that's the center middle, that's a school resource officer at Suburban, that cited a young girl for helping her classmate, the whole way from Chief Millsaps in West York, recognizing a business that has been around for a number of years. So it's just a feel good, positive, like, hey, you're doing something good for a positive touch point. Another thing I'm really proud of is we have a trans-jurisdictional de-escalation training outside of crisis intervention training. This is the only countywide training. Chief King has been instrumental in helping get that grant through Spring and Sperry, and I'm happy to report that 54% of the county now has the same training. So it doesn't matter if you're in Hanover or if you are North Codorus, Fairview, the whole way down over in Hellam, you're going to get the same training, the same treatment. And because of that, we have seen a reduction in the use of force. It's down by 20%. Now, it already was. I got to clap. I got to clap, guys. All right. So you can already see that's very, very low. So the average, if you interact with law enforcement, your chances of having hands being put on you is 0.03. So it is very, very low, and this is below the national average, but this de-escalation training is definitely something we're very, very proud of, and we continue them about twice a year now that the main funding has ended. We also look for ways that we can support law enforcement through equipment. So we've been able to fund an MVAC DNA collection device that's housed at the Law Enforcement Center, as well as body-worn cameras. We also just got notified that Senator McCormick will also be supporting us through his congressionally directed funds. So we'll be able to support more body-worn cameras and in-car cameras. And our purpose behind that is that they document the truth. So we look at it as a good thing that supports both police and civilians as well. And then, of course, this past year, we lost 4 law enforcement officers. And so after the UPMC shooting, we were able to partner with West York Borough. And then after the North Codorus tragedy, we partnered with the Sheriff's Office and Northern. So we could set up that donation portal so they didn't have to worry about where the funds were coming from. A lot of people in here donated, so thank you very much for supporting. Know that that money went directly to the 5 families that were impacted with the North Codorus Township deaths. And then also, when I spoke to you very quickly back in February, I asked if you would help me write some cards, and a lot of you took them back to your businesses, and we were able then to set this up at the Andrew Duarte funeral, just to let people know that the community is thinking about you. So to end, one of the last things that we focus on is officer wellness. This year rocked law enforcement. With what happened, especially at North Codorus, it left an impact. And so a lot of people think that officers, they have that EAP card, and they can call and they can get therapy if they want. A lot of them don't. As Chief King likes to say, they wear a cape and they embrace that S for superhero on their chest. And so a lot of them don't like to admit that, hey, I'd like to go and talk to, a behavioral health specialist. And so we're on a committee, we're trying to fundraise and trying to get more therapy sessions for officers. They can go and talk to someone. Our goal is twice a year, but also we started offering family seminars for wives and spouses and husbands and adult children to learn what happens behind the badge. Because the average person in this room will go through 2 to 5 traumatic events in your life. Police officers witness 200 to 500. And so what kind of support do they need so they feel like their most important tool, which isn't their gun, it's their brain, is ready to go to work in the morning? So we're really, really proud of this initiative. So to wrap it up, we are the backbone behind the support towards the 16 police departments and DA's office and sheriff's office, as well as the nonprofits and the youth that I share, the youth service providers. And it really wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for the folks mentioned on the screen. My amazing board, Powder Mill Foundation, York County Community Foundation, Stewart and Tate, Wolfgang Confectioners, the state, PCCD, and now most recently, Senator McCormick's office and others. So thank you so much for your time today, and we'll be excited to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for being here and for a good story well told. I'm really interested how your group intends to address rising apprehension in the community about an increase in immigration enforcement as we're seeing cars being unloaded, as we're hearing rumors of moves against the Haitian community and others. Surely you're aware. What are you doing?
I don't know that I can singularly answer that question, but I think one of the most critical things is actually having a table of trust where diverse leaders are actually able to sit with our law enforcement and have conversations. I can tell you, I am aware of phone conversations that have happened between those leaders already, because I will say there's a lot of misinformation out there about what ICE is doing. I don't want to speak on all that. But what probably the most critical thing is that we're able to sit down and talk. And I will say throughout, we've probably had over the years multiple scenarios where there have been things that would have inflamed the community. Just by that table being there, the ability to get correct information and then to get it out to the community relatively quickly is very, very important. I can assure you that that those conversations, will have some hard-hitting conversations. We actually have one coming up in a couple of weeks, and that topic is actually the topic of of that particular session. So hopefully that gives you some sense. It's not a full like this is what we can do. And we're committed. As Pastor Kearney rightly said, we want to make sure that that York County is policed fairly and justly, and people are treated with dignity. And that's something I think we're all committed to together.
Don't everybody speak at one time.
I'm sure I can speak for the whole room that we're really grateful that you were here today. I'd like to hear a little more about the activities around young adults. You mentioned that the cohort under the age of 25 is very much at risk. And I'd be interested in hearing a little more about what's going on to divert, train, encourage all of those positive things for that group.
Yep. Growing up in the 21st century in 2026 is very different. For example, exposure to social media, that there is no difference between the offline and online world anymore. There just isn't. So what we've done is we're trying to figure out how we can learn from youth and bring it back to the nonprofit service sector. So at our last summit, we had a youth panel. I went and met with the JRTC team who's been here for a couple events, and I had a sit-down focus group session with about a dozen kids. And then I also went to, are you familiar with Paradise School? It's the Lincoln LIU unit. So if you're unfamiliar, that is for kids who basically get kicked out of public school and they go to alternative ed. And so I went and spoke with them as well. And I said, what are you concerned about? If you're concerned about violence or your safety or basic needs, what concerns you? And some of the stories were, they make you cry, right? But also they're frankly alarming. So one young man shared a story of, you know what it does to your psyche when you can be scrolling on Instagram, and this is kind of intense, but see someone get blown up and just swipe up and just keep on going about your day, right? And so what I did is after a decent amount of a coaching session, they came to the summit and we had an extremely organic and vulnerable conversation where adults in the room listened to kids without judgment. And then the kids got to speak through their own experiences about what they witnessed. They shared things like, are you familiar with the term love bombing? Love bombing. So what it is if you have a young person who will bomb someone with affection and affirmation and checking in on them 24/7. And then once they gain a level of dependency and trust, if they don't behave in a way that they want and they start exhibiting controlling behavior, then they start withdrawing or they start attacking them. And for a young person who's 15 years old, whose prefrontal cortex isn't even developed yet, and they're experiencing love and attention for the first time, to now have that withdrawn and taken back from them, it's a form of teen dating violence. You might not see the bruises, but it absolutely is a form of abuse. And so we had young people come and share, here's what we're experiencing. And the Safety Collab, we have a number of different programs, but this is where it's my job to just create a platform where young people can share what's happening to them and then take it back to the nonprofits to figure out, well, what can we do now with this information? So part of the last summit was, after we heard from kids, the next summit we'll have in April is, what are our action steps? Now that we heard about their concerns on, they also shared about vaping, access to substances, parental involvement. A lot of our young people go home to empty houses. So one of the first questions we asked was, what do you eat when you go home? One kid actually, I might even speak to some people in the room, likes dry ramen. Is that a thing? Do you, okay, all right. I'm not sure. You might need to get checked out. But some of the kids, but they go home and they don't have that parental involvement. So now so what I'm trying to say is that there are legitimate concerns with our kids, and it's up to us and everyone in the room to figure out how we can support them. And if we can be the conduit as a Safety Collab to close that conversation gap, we'd like to do that. And then one final thing also, what came from the summits, because the summits, while they're good to convene and talk, one thing that came out of it is we started hosting Foundations for Youth Safety and Stability seminars. We have them at night. There are 20 people max that are allowed to come, and it's professional development on what are ACE scores, how do you be trauma informed, if you have someone that is a justice involved youth, like what can we do to support them. Our next one is next week. It's on self-care and de-escalation techniques. So we found the best approach to the Safety Collab is to educate and have more cohort development for the people that are actually boots on the ground working with people.
Active listening. One of the most important things that we can do, as Dr. Jamie stated, is to listen to our youth. Actively listen to them, and don't be so quick to judge. Don't be so quick to respond. We as adults, we have a plan. We always have a plan that we want to portray and communicate to our youth. But what are our youth saying to us that is meaningful, that we together collectively can address? It's very important for us to listen. That's what the summit, the Collab Summit has produced, a safe environment for youth to communicate to us.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. Question, you presented some very clear strategies that you are implementing with police departments and also directed at the youth. Are there specific activities or strategies that churches are implementing to reach out to the congregation and the broader community to talk about their role in preventing violence in York County?
Go ahead. Well, so just a couple of them. I'm going to ask Aaron to come up after, but the seminars I just shared with you, they're average on 3 to 5 people from the faith-based community that are bringing that back. We also are working with one church that is going to go through an active shooter drill situation where they can learn how to protect their communities. And so we have, thankfully, because the connection that these guys behind me have built, they've been able to show up to our events and be a part of it. But I'm going to let Aaron talk more about that as well.
I mean, the simple answer to that, Robin, is yes. There are a number of churches that are already connected. We're building a network. You know, we don't have a council of churches anymore. We used 2 years ago. And so we're having to sort of rebuild it. The Black Ministers Association has been helpful in that. We're building some of that. A number of those churches, because the Safety Collab was born out of our chiefs and clergy, there's a lot of clergy already at the table. But we do see churches as vital to this work, to not only to reach people, kids, to help resources. We think on that question around parenting, there's significant involvement there, but there's a lot of work to do.
So hard to cut off speakers. So thank you so much, Jamie, Aaron, Bill, and Todd, for sharing the work that the York County Safety Collab is doing and reminding us that safety is built through relationships, trust, and collaboration. Your message reinforces an important truth that lasting change happens when we work together and remain committed, even when the work is complex and progress takes time. Your work also aligns closely with Rotary's belief that strong communities are created through cooperation, service, and shared responsibility, and we appreciate the leadership and partnership that you bring to this effort and the impact that it continues to have across our community. As you know, our speaker signs the book plate to be donated to Logos Academy this week, along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. It is The Alchemist. Next week, we'll hear from Kevin Hodge of Rock Commercial Real Estate. His presentation will answer some common questions the community has related to commercial real estate, showcase data of why York for various developments and why not York for others. In addition, he'll offer some perspectives not often discussed by those outside the bubble of commercial real estate development and share some interesting insights. Have a great afternoon.
He takes